my place, and I am welcome.
And hello and welcome everyone on this Sunday, August the 23rd service. Today we have guest speaker Wendy Carr. Wendy, she's spoken for us many times before. For those of you who don't know who she is or maybe watching this on YouTube or on Facebook for the first time, Wendy has been with Unity since 1984, the Unity movement, and she received her licensed Unity teacher status in 2000. She's been speaking for us on and off for about over a year now. She currently serves as a licensed Unity teacher representative to Unity Canada's Board of Directors, as well as serving on Unity Worldwide Ministries licensed Unity teacher ministry team. So thank you, Wendy, for being here today. And I'm so excited. I don't know, for those of you who are students of Unity, I don't know if you knew, but this last month, August, both of our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, had birthdays. So today, Wendy is going to be sharing and speaking to us about how the Fillmores transformed their personal spiritual explorations into what is now the Unity movement. So I'm really looking forward to that. But before we start, just like everything else in Unity, we start with music and prayer. So please have a seat as we sing together "We Have Come" by Gary Norian and Chris Foster.
Here we stand this morning, everyone, this family, brothers, sisters, we have come. Hearts and minds are open, voices sing God's glory, working wonders in our lives. We have come to be together. We have come to be renewed. We have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united. We have come to stand in truth. We have come to stand in the presence of God. Look around, these faces filled with love. God's light is shining, Spirit in our eyes. In our eyes. Through these doors, hearts rising in this room. Arms opening, all who seek are welcome here. We have come to be together. We have come to be renewed. We have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united. We have come to stand in truth. We have come to stand in the presence of God. Will you sing out this morning? We have come to be together. We have come to be renewed. We have come to be alive in the world. We have come to stand united. We have come to stand in truth. We have come to stand in the presence. You sound powerful. Let's sing it one more time. We have come to be together. We have come to be renewed. We have come to be a light in the world. We have come to stand united. We have come to stand in truth. We have come to stand in the presence of God. We have come to stand in the presence of God. We have come to stand in the presence of God. Good morning, everyone.
And good morning, everyone. So yeah, I hope you didn't mind me clapping and lip syncing there. I don't, if I stop my video, then it stops the music. So, you know, I was just trying to have fun with it. I hope you all did anyways at home in your kitchen or in your living room, wherever you are. If you'd like to get comfortable now in your seats as I begin our invocation, and in alignment with our talk for today, our invocation will actually be Charles Fillmore's invocation. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seats. You can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever you feel called, as we begin the process of letting go and getting fully grounded in the present moment. If you'd like to take a nice deep breath in, filling our hearts and lungs with peace and love, and exhale, releasing all tension, all thought. I'm going to take another deep breath in, and slowly, slowly releasing that breath, allowing our bodies to relax, letting our thoughts go, and everything that we were doing up until this moment, not worrying about what we have to do after this moment, knowing that there's nowhere else we have to be but right here, right now. We are now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit, in thy divine wisdom. Now erase our mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world according to thy perfect law. And so it is. Amen. Unity York Region has a vision that is shared by Unity Worldwide Ministries, and that vision is, I invite you all to affirm this with me, a world powerfully transformed in the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. That feels good, doesn't it, to say it? And the mission for Unity York Region is, and this is our personal mission for our group, it is, if we can affirm that together again, please, we are a vibrant, thriving, spiritual community serving the world by embodying unity principles of higher consciousness. And the affirmation that ties the vision and mission together is, please affirm it with me, God is, I am, we are together transforming the world. Unity is an inclusive community, and we bless and embrace people of every race, culture, lifestyle, and creed. You are all welcome here at Unity. One of our prayer projects is praying with Unity Centers across Canada, and for the month of August, the entire Canadian Unity movement affirms prosperity, peace, and harmony for these Unity Centers. It's Unity Center of Winnipeg in Manitoba, and Unity Christ Center of Truth in Etobicoke, Ontario. So we say yes to prosperity, peace, and harmony for these Unity Centers. Amen. And now we have the daily word reading. If I can ask Susan to unmute herself. Oop. And Susan, if you can please read the daily word for today.
I'd be happy to. Good morning, everyone. So today's daily word is inner peace. Quiet moments in a fragrant garden, a stroll by a lake or stream, or a visit to any place of beauty inspires a deep awareness of peace. I also enjoy peace in the company of friends, those with whom I have easy camaraderie and deep bonds. Growing in spiritual awareness, I claim inner peace wherever I am. True inner peace comes from deep within me. If I'm feeling less than peaceful, I pause and breathe out worry, fear, and unhealthy concern. Giving my full attention to the divine presence within me, I breathe in a peace that soothes my emotions, calms my thoughts, and relaxes my body. As I continue to inhale peace and exhale concern, I move forward with renewed clarity and confidence. And the reading is from Isaiah 26, verse 3. Those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. And let's say the affirmation together. The affirmation is, the peace of God fills my mind, my heart, and my life.
Thank you, Susan. And for those of you who might be watching this on YouTube or Facebook, if you're not familiar with what the Daily Word is, it's a Unity publication where every day there is a prayer and affirmation, and it's available online. It's also available at Daily Word. You just Google dailyword.com. It'll take you to the webpage. You can sign up to have it sent directly to your, it's a different message every day, by the way, directly into your inbox. There's also a Daily Word app. There's also booklets that get sent out every, I believe, 2 months, and you can sign up to have it mailed right to your doorstep. It's part of my daily practice, how I start my day every day. So if there's more information you're looking for, I'll also have links in the captions for you. So Unity York Region has a prayer program that is alive and well, and our prayer chaplains are ready and willing to pray with you and support you at this time, anytime that you need. You can just drop us an email at contact@Unity York Region. You can also just hit reply to one of our e-blasts. That number on the screen, 1-888-980-6881, that is the official phone number, toll-free number for Unity York Region. You can leave a voicemail. You can either just leave your prayer request, and Robin, the head of our prayer chaplaincy program, will pray on that for you. Or if you want someone to call you back, either Robin, Susan, or myself, we're all the prayer chaplains for Unity York Region. We can call you back and we can pray with you. Your prayer will also be sent to our prayer ministry, Silent Unity. You're also welcome to call them directly because they are available 24/7. Unity York Region isn't. And you can call them 24/7 at 1-800-NOW-PRAY. Someone will always answer the phone. And your prayers, by the way, and your prayer requests get prayed on for 30 days, 24/7. So please, we're here to support you. If you want to get comfortable again and listen to I Am Free and I Am Unlimited by Janet Bowser Manning and the Unity Victorious Singers.
There are no chains that
on to the announcements. This Thursday, we are continuing our summer series discussions in our study group. That's Thursday at 7:30 via Zoom. A link is sent out on Thursday morning. And join us this Thursday, and it's going to be a surprise. There'll be information probably in the email this week. So this Thursday, August the 27th, the videos are very motivational, inspirational, as well as the discussions. So I look forward to seeing you there. Also, September 9th and 10th is officially the World Day of Prayer. Now, normally it happens just on the Thursday, but because the service will now be virtual, Unity Worldwide Ministries will be doing the service over 2 days. There'll be various events. It'll start 7 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, and it'll go on until 4 p.m. Central Time on the Thursday. There's going to be, I believe, 7 guest speakers, and they're going to be sharing their personal experiences on how they went from fear to faith, which is this year's theme. There will be a link in our e-blast this week that will bring you to the page where there'll be more information and the schedule, etc., and how you can, participate in that. Also, Unity York Region that Thursday on September the 10th, we'll be holding our own World Day of Prayer service. It'll be facilitated by Reverend Irene Anton, and she'll have a few of us participate in that. And I'm really looking forward to it. There'll be a link provided that week, directly it's a Zoom call. I believe it'll also be available on Facebook Live. You can also participate in the World Day of Prayer by lighting a virtual candle. So you go online to the website. I don't believe it's on the screen, but the website is worlddayofprayer.org, very simple to remember. And you just go to the light a virtual candle, you put in your personal information, and then you're brought to a map where there were people all over the globe who have also signed up to light a virtual candle. Now that light represents your light shining in prayer. So look out for those links again. It'll probably begin in this week's email on Tuesday. And I look forward to seeing you all there. And I'm really looking forward to the service. It's a very prayerful, very centering service. Following in the fall, we have Reverend Pat Ball, who will be leading a self-awareness course. Now, we did in Unity York Region cover this last year. We did offer the course in our study group. This is separate from our study group. It'll be Wednesdays starting 8 weeks consecutively, starting September the 16th, and that is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Reverend Pat is facilitating the class. You just need to register. There is no official cost, but there is a suggested love offering, $10 to $20 per session, payable to your local ministry or Unity Ministry in Motion, which is Reverend Pat's ministry. If you haven't done it, if you haven't taken the course before, I strongly recommend it. The texts, the required texts, which is in the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth, and especially the Conscious Living, Finding Joy in the Real World by Guy Hendricks. Very profound and powerful books. It's an amazing course. Even if you did it with us last year, you can do it again. There's always more that we can explore and discover about ourselves. So if you would like any additional information or to register, just register. The information's there. Again, there will also be links in our e-blast for you to do that. If you'd like to get comfortable in your seats again for the song Fed by Fred Bogert. And following the song, we'll be going into service. Wendy Carr will be taking it from there.
I am nature's wandering child. Nothing on the attitude.
And take it away, Wendy.
So once upon a time, in Pagetown, Ohio, on the 6th of August, 1845 to be exact, Myrtle Page was born. Her birth name was actually Mary Caroline, but she adopted the name Myrtle when she was a child, and it stuck for the rest of her life. Now, her family were Methodist and fairly religious in the traditional meaning of the word. In her family, there were a number of people who had tuberculosis, and so Myrtle grew up believing that she would get tuberculosis because it was God's will, and that was how it was going to be. And one can imagine being told as a child not to plan anything because you were going to die early. I mean, what a life to live. Myrtle decided, however, that she was going to be a teacher, and she set herself on that path. Meanwhile, a few years later, outside of St. Cloud, Minnesota, on the 22nd of August, 1854, Charles Sherlock Fillmore was born. Now, here's your Canadian content. His mom, Mary, was actually from Nova Scotia, and she moved to the States when she was about 18. So Charles and Myrtle have very different pathways. Myrtle is told that she is going to be sick. Charles is involved in an accident and doesn't heal properly from it. Remember, this is a time before x-rays. This is a time before antibiotics. This is a time before really we have a full understanding of germ theory and how things are transmitted from person to person. So both of them on the surface look like they're not going to be much of anything. And I don't mean that to be disparaging, but from worldly eyes, Myrtle is sickly. Charles is unable to walk easily. He's lost some hearing. He's got some pains in his body that just won't go away. So neither of them look like they're going to become much of anything. But Myrtle perseveres. She goes to Oberlin College for 1 year of training as a teacher. And I find it interesting that at that time, 1 year was deemed enough to teach all the subjects and all the ages in a one-room schoolhouse. But there we are. Charles was homeschooled, not by his mother, but by a neighbor who was also teaching her son. Now, what I found kind of interesting was that the neighbor had actually taken the same course at Oberlin College that Myrtle had. And so in a way, Charles was getting the same education that Myrtle had. And so when they meet up in Denison, Texas, around about 1876, they are on a very similar intellectual path. They've been exposed to classic writings, and in fact, they meet in a literary society meeting. Myrtle had stood up to do a recitation, and Charles wrote later that as she spoke, something inside him said, "There's your wife." Well, it took them 5 years until they actually got married in 1881. On the day of their wedding, Myrtle's children were so upset that their school teacher was going to have to resign because the rules at the time were that you were either a spinster or you were and a teacher, or you were married and not a teacher. That educational aspect really was, I kind of shudder at it because many contracts at the time for the female teachers, the board of trustees for the local school board had a say in who you were allowed to court. And it was right in black and white that as soon as you were engaged and married, that was it. Your contract would be canceled. So we're told from the newspaper, no less, that her fourth graders were so distraught by the horrible Mr. Fillmore taking their beloved teachers away that they cried through the wedding service and they protested outside the church. Charles and Myrtle went to Colorado. At this point, that was the best place for her health, and Charles was involved in real estate, and that's where the boom was. Now, this next picture isn't the greatest, but it is one of the earliest we have of the two of them, and it was dated 1882 in Colorado. So at this point, we really don't have a sense of a spiritual life for the two of them. Myrtle, we know, was very involved with the idea of God in everything, including in nature. Charles wasn't so involved. He hadn't been raised going to church. I think that to some extent he was more intellectual. He was very involved in business and had a mind for numbers and figures. And I think some of this he probably thought was kind of woo-woo, to use a more modern term. While they lived in Colorado, and there's an early photo of what Pueblo looked like, they had 2 sons, Lowell and Bridger. So at this point, they're just kind of a normal family. They're following the boom and bust of the real estate market as we're going through the expansion of the US in the West. And certainly Myrtle's body is responding to having been pregnant twice. And by 1886, we're told that she is very unwell. Lowell writes that anytime someone came by who had a lotion or a potion, she would invite them in. But something happens in 1886. By this point, they're in Kansas City, which is a bit more cosmopolitan than Colorado had been. And she goes to hear a lecture, and I'm sure we can empathize. A young mother facing the termination of her own life, looking for a solution, looking for a miracle. And we don't know much about the person that she heard speak, other than he had come from a New Thought college somewhere in Chicago. We know the one line that Myrtle's heart spoke to: I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Now, as I said earlier, she had been told since probably the day she was born that she was going to inherit sickness, that it ran in the family, not to make plans, not to have expectations for a long life. Can you imagine how this one phrase blew her mind out of the water? And Myrtle took this, and I suspect she was influenced by whatever else was in the talk. And she spent many hours every day asking her body's forgiveness for thinking that it was sick, asking her body's forgiveness for having any thought that wasn't perfect and whole. And then she would spend time affirming the divinity of God within her body, that she was made whole and pure and in abundance. And the reason we know that Myrtle was beginning to heal her body is that in 1889, she gave birth to her 3rd son. Now, Charles, being the intellectual kind of guy that he was watching his wife. She was clearly getting better. She was clearly regaining her strength. So he started reading, and he writes in one of his brief autobiographical pieces that he just saw this Babel, that it was just confusion, that people contradicted each other, writings contradicted each other. And he had the thought that either I can go directly to headquarters or the whole thing is a fraud. Either I can speak to this divinity, to this God that people have named, or it's not real. So Charles too started spending time in prayer. And what I took great comfort in, and continue to, is that it took him about 3 months, he said, before he really felt like he was making a connection. And I know when I first came into Unity, that was something that was frustrating to me, that I didn't feel a connection. People talked about it, and I didn't initially feel it. But once I had put the time in, once I had spent that time being quiet and just allowing the thoughts to evaporate and focus instead on that which is greater than myself, it came. So Charles and Myrtle at the time were not intending to create a church. That wasn't their intention at all. Their intention was to share what they were learning. And their son Lowell writes, again, he had quite a bit of memory of this time. He writes that people would come to them and ask for prayer. And sometimes they would offer it without being asked. He remembered a milkman who was walking with a crutch. And his mother invited the gentleman in, and they had a prayer, and the gentleman left without his crutch. So there were signs that these two had something. And whether or not it was their personality or the fact that they had an answer in a time when medical science did not. And for some of us who are aware of things of that time, I'm not sure we could call it medical science. You know, the usual first thing to do was to bleed somebody, which often made it worse and sometimes killed the patient. So they started having prayer services in 1890. If you look carefully on this early logo, between the N and the I, there's a dot. And in the spider web, it says Kansas City. And this is one of the first logos they used. The idea of the soul connecting with earth, the idea that we are one, and from the scriptures, be still and know that I am God. And this was key point of their belief system, was that it was about affirmative. It was about affirming one's oneness with God, rather than the traditional Christianity, which tended to focus on unworthiness and sinfulness and shame and blame. Out of this, in 1891, they had been started to publish magazines, and they had put an invitation out for people to form their own study groups, their own prayer groups. And as the results started happening, it was clear that unity, as it was called, had a message for the world. And although in the early days they would meet on Sunday night when it would not interfere with regular church services, it was clear for many that they wanted their own church, that they wanted unity and the beliefs and the practices to be a primary form of their spiritual path. So this is an early photograph of the Unity Tract Society. That's Charles sort of in the middle, still bearded. He was bearded for most of his early adult life until Unity did a talent show, and he was an Irish washerwoman. And so he shaved his beard off and mustache off. And apparently the results were so good he never went back and remained clean shaven the rest of his days. So they published their own materials. Their idea of keeping the mailing list was they had a roll of paper over a door, and as a subscription request came in, the name was added at the bottom. It was very low tech at the time. The tracts were published infrequently. When they had enough money to buy paper and ink, they were published. When they didn't, there was a bit of a lull. So this was very much a family-run organization. You can see son Lowell in the back left. When Charles was ready to give up the pulpit, he took that over. Now, it was said that perhaps that wasn't his true calling. It was said that he had such a sense of humor that his true calling probably would have been in vaudeville. But what he brought was an understanding of the principles. He is the only of the second generation to have written anything, and he wrote a treasury of poems and observations about spiritual principles. One of my favorite things about Lowell I took from him was when he was president of Unity and he had a meeting and he wasn't sure if he was comfortable knowing who he was meeting. If it was a group of Boy Scouts, he was happy to meet up with them. He loved children. He always played Santa for the staff Christmas party. But he would stop by the desk of his secretary, Mrs. Min, and he would say, "I go to meet my good." And that had twofold purpose. First of all, it was him putting into practice the principle that whatever it was for his good, regardless of the outer look, how it looked on the outer. And the other was, there was an unspoken request. Please hold me in prayer while I go and do this that feels kind of hard. In the back row in the middle is number 2 son, Rickard. Rickard went to art college. He toured Europe. And if you have been to Unity Village, or if you have seen the pictures of Unity Village, you know that it is a very distinct architecture. And that was Rickard at play. He brought to the ground, to the empty farmland, a love of particular styles of architecture. In my work as an archivist and historian, I discovered when in 1989, when Unity celebrated its centennial, the new Silent Unity building was opened. And I sort of chuckle that we still, some of us still call it the new Silent Unity building. And there was some kerfuffle about this, because people said, "Oh, but that's such a nice green patch. Why are you putting a building there?" In 1926, Charles had commissioned a silent movie to be made. And in that silent movie are drawings and plans for what was then Unity Farm. And in the corner, not yet built, there was a building that looks remarkably like what Rickard had planned way back in the day. On the far side, in the back row, is Royal. Royal, to me, is the proof that Myrtle's body was healed. As you can tell, he's a bit younger than his brothers, 5 and 7 years respectively. Royal was he was the first generation of Unity children. It was he who helped write We Wisdom, which was Unity's publication for children for 100 years. He would review the material with his mother. And it was he who decided that they needed to have a property outside of the city, not knowing that eventually that Unity Village would be surrounded by not only the city of Kansas City, but by interstate highways. But at the time, there was enough of a gap that it was a place, there was a belief that if people, and especially children, could get out into nature, that would be beneficial to them, and it would be beneficial to the city, and cut down on crime and cut down on poverty. And so it was Royal who went to his parents and said, let's buy this farm. It was about 58 acres in 1919. And from those roots, we have Unity Village, which is the headquarters and the hub for all things Unity worldwide. Now, below Royal on the right side there is Grandma Fillmore, Charles's mother. Charles and his mother were very, very close. Her husband Henry had walked out on her and her two boys, Charles and his younger brother Norton. And for a while, the boys shared custody. The parents' cabins were about 10 miles apart. I didn't realize that until relatively recently. And I find it interesting that Charles, I knew he had come from a family where there had been a divorce, but I didn't realize there had been joint custody for a period. I thought that was a much newer concept. Grandma Fillmore was quite the seamstress, and James Dillard Freeman, our poet laureate and historian, wrote of her that she was one of the few who knew the magic of a handful of beans, a soup bone, and some vegetables grown in the garden that could feed the family for a week. Charles kept with his mother. She lived with them or near them most of the rest of their life. Charles and Myrtle were 9 years apart. Myrtle and her mother-in-law were 11 years apart, maybe 12. There's been some question about when Grandma Fillmore was born. But there's this closeness between the three of them. And what Grandma Fillmore brings to the movement is that she did the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of the kids, which allowed Charles and Myrtle to do the work, especially in the early days before they had staff to assist them. I've heard many ministers and spiritual leaders say they wish they had a Grandma Fillmore to help them with their workload. And then, of course, we have our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle. I find it interesting that even though they were married, they weren't really joined at the hip. There were points even of Unity teachings that they didn't agree on. Charles was very keen on the 12 powers, as many of you know. Myrtle was much more into oneness and tolerated Charles's beliefs. I'm told by a reliable source who got it secondhand, but I will trust his rendition, that when Charles did a talk on the 12th power of life, his chosen topic was such that Myrtle felt offended and stood up with the boys and marched them out of the Sunday service. So while our co-founders may have given us a definite understanding of spiritual principles, spiritual practices, affirmative prayer, they were still human. And I think that's really important to remember. Myrtle passed first. She had gone to her staff and said her goodbyes and went home and passed quietly about 2 weeks afterwards in 1931. And I found a newspaper article which described Charles as a grieving husband. When their youngest son, Royal, had passed, Myrtle had written to her sister that all the flower shops must be empty and that she couldn't write anymore because her heart was so full of the love that had been shown. Royal's funeral had been broadcast outside of the funeral home because it was standing room only. Myrtle's was very similar. Charles lived on until 1948. That's a whole other talk. But out of that, out of their looking, out of their searching, out of their human needs, and their very human needs, the need to find wholeness and healing, they found principles of prosperity, of health, well-being. And for that, I am truly grateful, because this has been my spiritual path, and this has been something that I have intuitively known, didn't realize that there was a denomination or a movement that reflected what I was intuitively aware of. So from my bottom of my heart and from the hearts of many, I say thank you, Charles and Myrtle. Thank you, Grandma Fillmore. Thank you, Fillmore boys. Thank you to the family and the staff who supported this movement. For I am so grateful to have like travelers on my spiritual path. And now, with that, we'll move into our time of meditation.
You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete, you are love. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved for who you are. You are enough, you are complete, you are love. You are love, you are love, you are love. I am seen, I am heard, I am loved for who I am. There is nothing I need to change. I am
Now, as we move into our time of meditation, I invite you to do three things. To know that whatever you're sitting on or in has divine wisdom and is able to support you. And so you can allow your body to relax just a little bit more. And second, I invite you to allow my words and my voice to be your words and your voice. And finally, taking a nice deep cleansing breath, I invite you to find that space within your body where you feel that connection, where you feel the oneness with the universe, where you feel your own divinity. And taking a few deep breaths into that space. We are loved. We are worthy. We are safe. We are healthy. And let us take these words into the singular, owning them for ourselves. I am loved. I am worthy. I am safe. I am healthy. And borrowing from Mama Myrtle, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. In this consciousness, we affirm the gifts that are ours to claim. Wealth of body, absolute abundance in our health. Understanding that our body has a wisdom that we cannot begin to fully understand, that we have only seen vestiges of. Understanding that we are a gift to the world and that the world needs us. That as we go through this process of being a human being, that our spiritual self glows through, expanding and enhancing the understanding of all things divine, of a love that encompasses, of a prosperity that heals and supports, of an understanding that while we may not look like each other, we may not believe the same things, we may in fact look like we're coming at each other, that in the highest truth, we are all heading towards one place in consciousness. We are all expressing our understanding of the divinity. We may call it God or Allah. We may call it the Buddha nature. We may call it grandmother wisdom. But we are all headed that way. And with grateful thanks to our co-founders, who not only determined some spiritual principles, but understood them and proved them in their lives in a way that demonstrated that we each could follow a similar path. Like a recipe, we add our own seasoning. I am not Myrtle Fillmore, but I can look to her and say thank you for teaching me. Thank you for the words you wrote. Thank you for the understanding you brought to this universe. Thank you for your ability to show me that there is a bridge between the theology I grew up with and this understanding that I have now. And to Papa Charlie, I can say thank you for being able and willing to let go of your intellect to show me and others that it can be done. To show us that there can be a balance between human and spiritual. That one can embrace technology to share a message. That one can learn how to go through difficult times without losing one's center. And for all the other teachers and staff who co-created the early unity movement and the days and decades that have followed. We honor you. We give thanks. We are grateful for the lessons you have taught us. We are grateful that you have helped this movement to grow and flourish. And let us just take a few moments in the silence, in gratitude and appreciation for all those who have carved the path. And in this consciousness of gratitude, in the love in our hearts, we now take into our hearts all prayer requests, both spoken and unspoken. Whatever is on our hearts. And in our understanding of affirmative prayer, we affirm health, employment, transportation, housing, food, all things necessary for human existence. We affirm calm, peace, serenity, love, compassion, all things needed for our spiritual journey. We love and bless and appreciate all people. We thank those who give us a challenge, for they are stretching us in our spiritual awareness. We unfold this world in these days, in this time, in love and light, knowing that we truly are all in this together, spiritually and humanly. And in this moment of silence, we send our love to the world. And for this time together, for the technology that allows us to come together when the world says to not, we are so grateful. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.
Thank you, Wendy. That was absolutely wonderful. So Unity York Region would like to take a moment to thank you for your support. Your love offerings have come through your hearts and allowed that love to flow through you and in and through our spiritual community so that we can continue to serve the world and to serve you as well. So if you'd like to place, we would just like to say thank you. I'm actually going to recite the love offering affirmation. If you'd like to place your hand on your heart. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies everything that I have, everything that I give, and everything that I receive. God is my source. Thank you, God. And thank you for your love and support. You can continue to support your spiritual community by giving to you can continue to support us through e-transfers, through Contact at Unity York Region. There's also a link to our Tithely service, which allows you to give recurring giving or one-time giving online. Or you can do it the old way through, the old-fashioned way through snail mail, email to the address on the screen. The address is also in our e-blast.
My gift goes forth on the wings of love, and it lands where it can heal and bless. It returns to me, multiplied 1,000-fold, as the universe says yes, yes, as the universe says yes.
Sorry for cutting that short. We'll listen to the love offering song one more time. Or not. Like Wendy said, we love technology and how it allows us to go forward and to be able to continue to serve you. Sorry, everyone. I didn't prepare the slides. Someone else did. Some things were out of order, and I should have reviewed them beforehand. Thank you for your patience. But before we continue to pray the prayer for protection, I invite you to just take a moment to envision and enfold the earth and all of its inhabitants in peace, love, wholeness, and light. So if we can pray together, please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on
Robin, if you can.
Yes. We are now surrounded and enfolded by the pure white light of spirit. Nothing but good shall come to us, and only good shall go from us. Go forth in joy, great love, and radiant peace. Amen.
Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed week, everyone.